हरि ओम्। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to session 13 for the study of Vaitatya Prakaranam, the second chapter of Mandukya Upanishad with Karikas. In today's session, we will see Gaudapadacharya enumerating various misconceptions of various people and philosophers about the ultimate truth. Srimati Vani Bhaskar, Dr. Gautam Divakar, Srimati Nilima join me in discussing these Karikas from 19 to 28. Last week, we discussed the Mithyatvam of waking world in Karikas from 14 to 18. Before Dr. Hegde sir introduces us to today's topic, I invite Srimati Mamata Shankar to refresh our understanding of these Karikas. Over to you, Mamata.
Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The recap of Karikas 14 to 18 of Mandukya Upanishad with Karikas of chapter 2 can be categorized as first, objections to world is mithya and justifications. Second, the order of arrival. First is jiva or the world. Then lastly, the rope snake example. That is to explain this example to explain the cause and solution to samsara. Gaudapada, with the help of reasoning, proves that waking world is mithya, just like the dream world, or an appearance, in the Karikas 5 and 6 of second chapter. However, 4 objections are raised by objectors against the mithya world, and Gaudapada refutes them in the Karikas 7 to 10 and 14 and 15. In today's recap, we will look at the Karikas 14 and 15 and then the Karikas 16, 17 and 18. In the next slide, in the Karika 14, the objector argues that the waking world, which is consistent, continuous, well-connected and independent, that is, it is present even after waking up, is Satyam or real, and only the dream world, which exists only during the duration of the dream, is Mithya or unreal. Gaudapada responds and refers to 2 terms, Chittakala and Dvayakala. Dreams within us have Chittakala, that is subjective existence. That is, it exists for the duration of the dream. Dream world, from dreamer's standpoint, has Dvayakala, that is objective existence. That means it is real and seems continuous, consistent. However, waking up, you realize both Chittakala and Dvayakala are unreal in the dream. The waking world also looks like has Dvayakala, that is objective existence. But it is also in reality unreal, similar to the dream world. That is, in dream world, we wake up and realize it is just a dream and mithya. But here, when we wake up to or realize our true nature, either atma or consciousness, then we realize the whole world or the universe is just an appearance in either consciousness, which we are. I, the consciousness or Atma, is the observer of both the waking and the dream world, and so waking world is equally mithya. In the next slide, in Karika 15, the objector says that the waking world must be real because it is clearly experienced, whereas dream is always vague and unclear. Gaudapada refutes by saying the dream world is said to be vague only in the waking state, but in the dream experience is very clear for the dreamer. Thus, clarity and the lack of it cannot be the criterion for reality. The objector further says the experiences in dream are sometimes unusual and they are different in nature. The experiences in waking state are normal and realistic. So how can dream and wake state both be mithya? Considering experiences are realistic in waking state, it must be satya. Gaudapada's response is, in waking and dream world, we use different instruments of knowledge or experiences. We use mind for the dream world and mind and sense organs for the waking world, and hence experiences will be different, but all the experiences appear to either consciousness. And all experiences are subject to arrival and departure, hence impermanent, and anything that is impermanent is mithya as per Vedanta. And since both waking and dream world have experiences, both are mithya. In the next slide, having established that I, the Atma, am the projector, sustainer, and experiencer of the whole world, of both waking and dream worlds, Gaudapada describes the waking world in the Karika 16. For the sake of understanding, Gaudapada says, Atma with the power of Maya projects the individual beings or jivas, then the transactional world or the universe. The jivas, with the knowledge of the world, result in a cyclic process of creation, which is termed as yatha vidyas tata spratihi in the Karika 16. That means individual beings with the knowledge, that is vidya, of the world experience the world, get the pleasant and unpleasant experiences, resulting in likes and dislikes from past conditioning or memory, that is smritihi, in the form of raga dvesha. Then our actions are influenced by these raga dvesha, which incurs in papa and punya, which gives rise to rebirth, and the cycle continues. In other words, we remain in samsara. Vedanta, however, says we have to discover the ultimate reality, which is our essential nature. That is, claim I am Atma, who is the projector, sustainer, and experiencer, to free ourselves from the samsara. In the next slide, our ignorance of our true nature is which is the self, leads to samsara. Solution to this samsara is discussed in the Karika 17 and 18 with the rope snake analogy or example. On enquiry of the false projection of snake on the rope, due to partial lighting, we find that it does not come under the existent category, because when we switch on the flashlight, you see that there is no snake at all. At the same time, it does not come under the non-existent category also, because the rope snake is sufficiently existent to cause fear or anxiety, etc. Therefore, the snake is neither non-existent nor existent. So we can say the rope snake is seemingly existent or is mithya in the Vedanta world. The problem is the partial knowledge or the partial ignorance of the rope that results in mithya or unreal snake is capable of causing fear and anxiety, as we already talked about. In the next slide, similarly, the ignorance of the self in an individual projects the waking and dreamer world, and they experience likes or dislikes, anger, joy, emotions. In other words, they are entangled in samsara. In the next slide, so the complete knowledge of the rope, which can happen with flashlight on the rope, makes all the projections, that is the rope appearing as snake or garland, etc., to disappear. Same manner, there will be clarity or ascertainment about the world with the knowledge of Turiya Atma. That is, I, the Atma, am Turiya Chaitanyam, or am the, as we already mentioned several times, the projector, sustainer, and experiencer of the whole world. In other words, everything is either pure consciousness. When this knowledge is gained, in case of rope snake example, the knowledge of the rope makes the false snake projection go away and the rope alone exists. However, with clarity and conviction in the knowledge of the self, waking and dream world will not go away or disappear, but waking and dream world will be perceived with different attitude as what we call as mithya in Vedanta. That is, it is just an appearance in I, the consciousness, which we are. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Mamta, for an excellent summary of the Karikas we studied in the last class. Mandukya Upanishad is difficult, and these Karikas are certainly trying to explain a very difficult concept, which you have very nicely and systematically explained. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We are now studying the Vaitatya Prakaranam. Today's class will be from Karika 19 onwards. Swamiji has one advice for us. Throughout the study of the Mandukya and the Karikas, we should always remember few things. We have to again and again revise the mantras 1 to 7 and Karikas 10 to 18. In future classes, I will touch. Perhaps mantras 1 to 7 we do remember, but what are these Karikas 10 to 18, and especially those Karikas 16, 17, 18 are particularly important and relevant throughout the study of the Mandukya and the Karikas. The entire Vaitatya Prakaranam is an elaboration of one word in the 7th mantra, and the mantra is Prapancho Pashamam Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtam Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vigneya. The word Prapancho Pashamam means Jagan Mithya. Now the word Jagan means different things for an ordinary person and for a student of Vedanta. For a student of Vedanta, the Prapancha is not just the waking world. Prapancha includes the waking world, the dream world, and the deep sleep world. And here in this Upanishad, we are trying to say that all the three worlds are Mithya. And therefore, we need to move from the Mithya Prapancha to the Satya Atma or the Turiyam, which is in and through all the three. Throughout our study of Vaitatya Prakaranam, Jagan Mithya is the attention. Why should we focus so much on Jagan Mithya? Some time ago, when we studied Manisha Panchakam, we studied all these verses of Manisha Panchakam. There is one verse which is very relevant for Vaitatya Prakaranam. Sashvannashvarameva vishvamakhilam nischitya vacha guroho nityam brahma nirantaram vimrushata nirvaja shantatmana bhutam bhavita dushkrutam pradahata samvinmaye pavake prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapuru Yesha Manisha Mama. I will briefly explain this verse from Manisha Panchakam. Very frightening, but very real. As students of Vedanta, we have to be very clear about this because this is true whether we like it or not. Sashvan Nashwaram Eva Vishwam Akhilam. Vishwam means the entire world, waking, dream, and deep sleep world for us. Sashvan, entirely Nashwaram. It is going to decay and deteriorate in front of us. Either we go ahead or this world is going to perish. That means anything anatma. That means the world around me, my family, my possessions, my profession, my friends, this body and mind are perishable commodities. This thing we have to remember, because if you don't remember this, what happens? We will be expecting happiness from the impermanent, and that is the cause of all samsara. So what is the solution? Nischitya vacha guru. Now, can you pay a lot of attention? Can you trust the words of the Guru? And what does the Guru say? Nityam Brahma Nirantaram Vimrushata. Vimrushata means please reflect Nirantaram, all the time on Nityam Brahma. If everything is impermanent, There must be something permanent. And what is that permanent? That is Nityam Brahma. You should Vimrushata. In all our classes, we are analyzing and seeing, is this real? And in what state of mind? Nirvaja Shanta Atmana. Your mind that is very peaceful, I want you to reflect on it. Then what happens? Bhutam bhavita dushkrutam pradahata samvinmaye pavake. Something wonderful happens once you move from asatoma to sat. That means if you move from the unreal to the real and you come established in the real, that means you not only have Brahma Jnanam, but you have Nishta on the Brahma Jnanam. What is that which makes us attached to the world? It is all about past karma. Bhutam, bhavitam, dushkrutam. All the bad deeds in the past are located in the form of the sanchita and the agama karma. What happened to them? Pradahata samvinmaye pavake. All of them get evaporated in the fire of knowledge. But then something is left. Prarabdhaya samarpitam swavapuru. Ultimately, you are left with this body and the world that you have to deal with it. As long as we live in this body, there is a certain amount of prarabdha that we have to go through. If your body is going through a certain amount of discomfort, that is our prarabdha. If the mind is going through a certain amount of anxiety, be aware of that. Can you surrender to that? Yesha, Manisha, Mama. In the Vaitatya Prakaranam, there are 38 Karikas. And in the last class, which Mamata just summarized, we finished up to Karika 18. Although we have finished only 18 and we have 20 more Karikas, and in today's classes, we'll be doing another 9 Karikas, I will declare that 90% of Vaitatya Prakaranam is already over. And therefore, in today's class, I will give you an overview. Sometimes you have gone through only a few verses of the Upanishad, then the teacher will declare that the Upanishadic teaching is almost over. Not that, there are 20 more Karikas. There are some very beautiful Karikas like Na Nirodho, Na Cho Utpatti, and that which we have to remember. Many beautiful ones will be coming. But then the real teaching is over. And what is the real teaching? If you can look into this slide, there are 5 main parts of this Karika. The first is that the dream world is unreal, verses 1 to 3. Verses 4 to 18 is that the waking world is comparable to the real world. In today's class, we will be covering 9 or 10 Karikas from what are the mistakes that various philosophers do. That is Karikas 19 to 29. And then there is a beautiful summary from 13 to 34. And then Gaudapadacharya will sum up by saying what are the qualifications required for a student of Vaitatya Prakaranam, and that is how this whole teaching gets over. The word vitata, when you say tata means true, tat means that, tata means thatness. So whenever you want to bless somebody, when the guru wants to bless somebody and you make a request, the teacher will say tatastu. The reverse of tata is vaitatya. So vaitatya really means unreal. Now, the word prapanchopashamam actually means jagan mithya. Jagan mithya means this world, the waking world, just like I negate the dream world, I should be able to negate the waking world. What is that we can negate? Anything existent cannot be negated. Anything non-existent cannot be negated. So that means Sat cannot be negated. Asat cannot be negated. There is a third category. And what is that third category? That category which is called seemingly existent. And that seemingly existent is what we are going to negate. Vedanta is focusing on negating sadasat vilakshanam, or the seemingly existent. And what is seemingly existent? Believe me, it is the world of our experiences, this body and mind. Anything anatma is seemingly existent. Other examples in Vedanta that we have studied are the rope snake, which we know, the dream example, mirage, which is easy to negate. But we have to learn to negate the world of my experiences my body, and my mind, because they all come under the same category of mithya, just like the rope snake, the dream, or a mirage. The Karika begins by logically proving that the dream is unreal through 5 main points. It is a 5-point formula to say why the dream world is real. All of us are very sure that the dream world is unreal, but Gaudapadacharya gives you reasons. And the important reason is Uchita Desha Kala Abhavat. Now, the whole dream world is happening in our mind, and there is not enough time nor enough space for all the dream events. And when I wake up, the dream world disappears, so we know. So that what is the 5-point formula? All the objects I dream are within me, and there is not enough space for all these big objects that I dream about. Now, supposing I travel to a particular place, when I wake up, I discover that I am in the same place and it is impossible for me to go to that place and come back. There is not enough time. And the fifth reason is Gaudapadacharya gives Shruti proof from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad to say why the dream world is unreal. Now, once we are clear that the dream world is unreal, and in the fourth Karika, he makes a very strong statement. Yatha tatra tata swapne. Whatever is true for the dream is true for the waking. And how does he do it? He does this very logically, and this is very beautifully explained in the Bhashyam. I'm not going into the details because logically, Gaudapadacharya tells exactly what happens in the dream is so in the waking. Now, when you analyze and study Vaitatya Prakaranam, it is like a very brilliant lawyer who has made a very strong point. And once his strong point is being accepted by his opponents, then he bases all his arguments on that one point. For discussion, I will call it the Nariman point. Nariman was a very famous lawyer, and we will say this is the discussion around one point. He will say that this world that we experience, this body and the mind, which is extremely difficult to accept as not so real. When you say not so real, we mean from the perspective of an awakened person who has discovered the Paramarthika. We should remember all the time whenever we say from Vyavahara or in the dream, a dream is the dream while in dream, waking is real while in the waking state, and therefore we need to respect that status. But from the perspective of a person who's woken up, and we are all students of one who are working to be those who are awakened up, this world has to be treated as of a lower order of reality. Now, there is a really one point. And what is that point? Anything that you experience is mithya. His whole argument is anything experienced has to be finite, and therefore anything finite is impermanent, because the infinite is only the experiencer. That is the main point. Now, for our discussion, we can take it as 2 points for discussion. The first is whatever is impermanent. That means it is not there in all 3 periods of time. If there is something in the waking world which disappears in the dream world or in the deep sleep world, I will take that as impermanent. That is reason 1. Second is, that means which is not there in all 3 periods of time. Now, this is an important Karika, and remember these words. Karika number 6, very important. Adau antecha yennaste vartamanapi tattata. So Gaudapadacharya says, whatever is impermanent is mithya. Whatever is an object of experience is also mithya. So whatever permanent is treated as satyam. Both Jagrat and Swapna prapanchas are impermanent, and therefore they are equally mithya, or they can be taken as relatively mithya. What do we learn from all this? Now, shall we move to a prakriya called Drik Drishya Viveka? That means whatever I see and experience, including my body and mind, is of a lower order of reality. I, the Drik, the experiencer, is Satyam, and the experiencer lends existence to all objects of all that I experience, and therefore, normally we say, because I experience, I will say it is real. In Vedanta, we say, if you experience something, that which is not real. Difficult to believe. Now, using the same argument through various karikas, I have not given you the karika number. Whatever argument you will say, this world is tangible, the dream world is not so tangible, this world, the dream world is internal, this world is external, Gaudapadacharya will say not so. Because in dream world also it appears to be external while in dream. Now, you will say dream objects are very unique, waking objects are not so unique. They are so ordinary. But then you will say you are looking from a different perspective. From that perspective, from a dream experience, that is the same. If you travel to a foreign country for the first time, everything else will look unique. Then the argument was, in the waking world, all these objects around me are useful, but dream money and dream objects are not useful. Gaudapadacharya argues that when you are hungry or thirsty, real food and water will not help you. It is only dream food and dream water. Again, with real money, I can do transaction. With dream money, it is of no use. The same argument again. In dream, if you want to buy something, you have to do it not with real money, but with dream money. When I look back after waking up, dream objects look vague. Waking objects look very clear. Gaudapadacharya says now, waking objects are seen through the mind and sense organs. Dream objects are seen only through the mind. And because there is a difference in the organs, you feel a relative difference. Also, you are making a comment after waking up. While you are in dream, the dream experiences are very vivid. Finally, you will say, but dream events are only subjective. It is happening within my mind. Whereas Chitta Kala, Dvaya Kala, that was explained. Whereas you have the objective universe, like the rope snake is seen only by me, but the rope is seen by everybody else. But there too, is it an object of your experience? If it is an object of experience, it is going to be mithya. So whatever argument, Gaudapadacharya has an answer. And when you study and when you try to explain this to somebody, you realize the difficulty that you have in the explanation. But in the process of explaining to somebody, one thing becomes very clear. Whether the other person is clear or not, you get more and more convinced that what Gaudapadacharya is saying is true. That means Sashvan Nashwarameva Vishwamakilam becomes more that this whole world is a perishable commodity. My body and mind is a perishable commodity. And I come to terms with that and therefore move from Drishyam to Drik, move from the experienced world to the experiencer, Drik, and that is our whole spiritual journey. Now, the 12th Karika is a very important Karika. As I told you, in the 4th Karika, there was a very logical connection between the dream world. Yata, Tatra, Tata, Swapni. Remember that argument. Then comes the 6th Karika, Ado, Ante, and Naste. Then comes the 11th Karika, an important question. And in this question, the Nanu, the objector, comes with a question. See, I'm seeing this whole world. Okay, I finally listened to all your arguments. I will accept it. But I'm experiencing a dream world. Who is the one who has created this world? And who is the one who is experiencing this world? Can you answer this question? Now, this is a trick question. You cannot say there is nobody projecting, but if you say nobody, the philosophy will become Shunyavada. If you say somebody, there is a God who's projecting the world and I am seeing this world, when you have Dvaita, that becomes a problem. It looks ridiculous to say, I am projecting and I am seeing. So this is a very trick question, and throughout, in the Bhashyam, if you go, you will have this sort of Nanu, the or objector, and the Siddhanta, a teacher who's trying to explain all the objections. Now, how does Gaudapada answer this? And this comes in the 12th mantra. In the 12th mantra, there is, until now, Gaudapadacharya has been using various forms of logical reasoning to answer anybody's question. But when it comes to this question, who is the one who's projecting? Who is the one who's saying? He's saying, Iti Vedanta Nischaya. Now, this is Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam. Now, this is the truth. He goes to a scriptural reasoning and says, there is that consciousness in all of us. You are able to listen to me. Am I sensitive to the listener? You are able to see everything around you. You're able to feel. It is because of consciousness. That consciousness principle has an ability to do two things. And this answer comes in the 13th Karika. It says, this consciousness principle has the ability to do dvaya, both. It has the ability to project. It has the ability to experience. How? Just like in the dream world. Just like I create the dream world, I create the external world. The mind is the only instrument that is the ability to be able to create. In sleep, what happens? In deep sleep, the mind is resolved. And when the mind, which is the projector of both the dream and the real world, that is why this is called Drishti Srishti Vada. In the dream world, I project a dream world, and in the waking world, I alone project the waking world. I am the projector, I am the sustainer, I am the experiencer of the waking world. And this is what is called Drishti Srishti Vada. In sleep, what happens when the mind goes to sleep? There is neither this world nor that world. There is neither the waking world nor the dream world. And therefore, in deep sleep, there is no world whatsoever. But when I dream, I have a Shakti called the Nidra Shakti. The Nidra Shakti has an ability to project a dream world. And this dream world that is projected, remember, is called Hiranyagarbha. And the Nidra Shakti creates a dream body for me, which is called the Taijasa. And the Taijasa interacts with the Hiranyagarbha throughout my dream world. When I wake up, the same mind has the ability to project a real world outside, the so-called real world, which we call in Mandukya as Virat. And the same mind has the ability to, of course, we don't say through Nidra Shakti, we say, I, through Maya Shakti, create a body for myself. And this body is called Vishwa. This body interacts with the whole world through the waking verse. Now, it is this Turiyam that has the ability to split into two things in waking and dream. We remember that verse, Nanta Prajnam na Bash Prajnam, that one and the same thing has the ability to project Vishwavirat, Taijasa Hiranya Garbha, Prajna Ishvara. And that is why we need to understand mantras 1 to 7 all the time, because this is Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gochara. This is Vedanta Vijnana Sunishtitartha. This understanding is clear that I am the Turiyam. And how do you know the Turiyam? Through Vedanta Vichara, through Guru Shastra, and that is nicely brought out in the 12th Karika. The only reality, Nantat Prajnam, Ekatma Pratyasaram, Prapancho Pashamam Shantam Shivam Advaitam, Chaturtam Manyante. That is the Atma Deva Kalpita Swa Mayaya. So all of us are, remember, like Ishvara. We have the ability through our own Maya Shakti to create a body for ourselves, to create a world for ourselves, and we interact in this world. So I will conclude both the dream worlds and the waking worlds are the creations of the same Atma with the help of Nidra Shakti or Maya Shakti. In a way, there is no creation. So there is the ability, just like I create a dream world. What have I done? I have brought my dream world into manifestation. The only reality is Turiyam, and a Jnani will be able to say, I am Ishvara. So spiritual awakening is when we are able to say, I am Ishvara. I have the ability as told in Drishti Shrishti Vada, through Maya Shakti to project a world. So who am I? I am negation. Apavada, I am none of these things. Mano buddhi hankara chittani naham. Then who am I? Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. Now we have analyzed all these karikas until the 17th and the 18th. And in the 17th and the 18th, Gaudapadacharya brings about the rope snake example. Swamiji says, Vishesha Ajnana Purva Samanya Jnanam. That I have only Samanya Jnanam, Vishesha Jnanam is not there. I have partial knowledge. And because of partial knowledge and partial ignorance, that is the problem, that is the cause of all samsara. And although I am Atma Brahma, I am not able to experience that because Maya has the ability to conceal my reality and project this world for myself. And that is what we have learned in Karika 17 and 18. In today's class, we will be studying a series of mistakes if I do not know, just like the rope snake example. If I'm not able to see the rope as rope because of incomplete knowledge, I will project a snake. Now, different philosophers give different theories, and that we will study very sequentially from the 20th Karika onwards. The introduction is given in the 19th Karika. Vani, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we are in the Vaitatya Prakarana, the second chapter of Mandukya Karika. So Vaitatya means Mithya. And the essence of this chapter is Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. Gaudapadacharya, that is Shankaracharya's guru's guru, establishes both the waking world and the dream world are Mithya. Next slide, sir. He establishes that I, the consciousness principle, is the projector, supporter, and the experiencer of both the worlds. So in the previous two verses, 17th and 18th, Acharya gave the well-known example of rope and snake. Now let us come to the 19th verse. Pranadibir anantaischa bhave reter vikalpitaha mayescha tasya devasya yaya sammohitaha swayam. So the meaning of this verse is the atma is mistaken for the following countless things like prana and etc. All this is the maya of that atma by which the atma itself is deluded. So here from the 19th verse to 29th verse, atma is mistaken for so many things. I think around 35 of them. So prana dibi, next slide, sir. Prana in this verse is Hiranyagarbha. Prana here refers to any deity of any religion. So the images of Krishna and Devi. Next slide. Next slides. So here we see the images of Lord Krishna and Devi. So it is with a form and name. So the deity with name and form is taken as an object of experience. Then Mandukya Upanishad says it is Mithya God. Since object of experience cannot exist independent of the observer. So it can never be Satyam. But if the same deity is taken as Atma, then it is a subject and therefore is Satyam. Prana in this verse is any deity with this that is deemed as an object of experience. Therefore, it is not the ultimate truth. So the first misconception is taking the name and form of a deity as the ultimate truth. But sadly, many religious people consider it as the ultimate reality. But in Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, we worship the same god and goddesses with name and form. Because we need an alambana there. So Swami Paramatmananda says, you always have to remember that there is truth, Satyam, as a support for any misconception. So every Mithya has Satya supporting it. So behind every name and form of the god and goddess, there is Satyam as Adhisthana. Next, we go to the rope and snake example. Rope and snake. The rope appears like a snake. Actually, the rope is the reality. The snake, which is Mithya, has rope as Satyam. So the reality of the rope, which is Satyam, is not seen. Then the Mithya snake appears very real. So once Satyam, the absolute reality, is lost sight of, then the mithya, the relative reality, will be wrongly raised to the level of satya. Similarly, once we lose sight of satyam, the adhisthana of this world, that is I, the consciousness principle, the mithya prapancha appears very real. And this is the cause of samsara. We completely forget the self and get too attached and involved with the world. The next line says, Anantaischa bhave reiter vikalpitaha. So varieties of the objects, endless of objects, are mistaken to be the reality. While the fact is, no object can be reality because the reality happens to be the subject. The reality can never be objectified. So what is the cause for all these misconceptions? The next line says, Maya Isha. So all these misconceptions are because of Maya. It is the glory of Maya. Maya is so powerful that we conclude that the truth is something somewhere. Maya has the power to create an illusion that one absolute truth appears as many. For example, if we take the example of clay and pot, see, clay is one, but the same clay can appear as many, like it can be a pot or diya or a toy or many more. Because of this Maya alone, the philosophers and seekers get confused. The reality is closest. I myself is a Sakshi Chaitanyam. Because of Maya alone, we always tend to search for this reality outside us and never within us. We never see that we are the truth. This Maya belongs to Tasya Devasya. So Devasya here is Turiya Atma. So Maya belongs to Turiya Atma. So Maya ischa Tasya Devasya Yaya Sammohitaha Swayam. So Yaya here is Mayaya. So by that Maya alone, the person is deluded. Sammohitaha is deluded. So because of Maya, the person is deluded and searches for Atma everywhere except himself. So in conclusion, Atma is one. The reality is one. But because of Maya, the philosophers confuse it to be varieties of objects. So the first misconception is taking God with a name and form as an object of worship. So Drushya Ishvara is first misconception, which is mithya. Similarly, Drushya Prapancha created by God is also mithya. Then comes varieties of confusions. Therefore, Advaitam says God can be taken as reality only if God is recognized I, the Turiya Atma. An objectified God can never be an ultimate truth. Hari Om, sir. Thank you.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Now, we'll see in the next slide. We have already seen that the mithyatvam of the Jagat is established clearly and how this is going to be mistaken by different philosophers in this subsequent verses. There are about 35 different philosophies that Gaudapadacharya enumerates. Obviously, that's not exhaustive. There will be much more. He has taken probably sample few philosophies which were existent at that time. And we will see that some of these philosophies were very old and perhaps not existent right now, but some of them are absolutely modern. Even now we can relate to them. And thanks to all the gurus, profound gratitude to Swami Paramarthananda ji, Swami Shankara Bharati, Swami Sarvapriyananda ji, and there is a tremendous consistency in their commentaries on all these kind of verses when they are talking about them. And I see that all of them have quoted Anandagiri's Tika, which is taken as a Bhashyam reference for this Gaudapada Karikas. Anandagiri is one of the profound Advaita proponents. He is a Shishya of Shankaracharya. He was actually Pitadisha in the Paschimamneya, in the Dwaraka Pita in the 13th century. He is also known as Tikakaraha. He has done several tikas and tippanis on the Shankara Bhashyams, particularly on many of the Upanishads. So his commentaries are taken as a base when all the Swamijis have given explanations. So we have seen it so many times, this Rajju Sarpanyaya, the snake and rope example. For this argument's sake, rope can be seen as Brahman, which is the Karanam, on which the snake is the Karyam, the effect which is being superimposed. Now, how is this kind of mistaken by different philosophies? Some people might see this rope as some kind of a crack in the floor, Some people might see it like some other thread, or somebody might see it like a curtain. So all of them are kind of brought about. But whatever people might say, there is only one reality. Reality is that of rope only. Only through knowledge we will know that it is rope. Only through the light we will come to know that it is a rope and nothing else. So any other misconceptions is because of the Maya, as told already. As we know, even the mithyatvam, the superimposition of the snake, also has isness, which is borrowed from the rope only. So the isness of the mithya jagat is borrowed from the substratum, which is Brahman only. So isness of the star which is far away is from the waker only, as sir has already mentioned about this. So any devotion on anatma also has to come from atma. So there is no need to criticize any of these philosophies. These are all the, in a way, stepping stones. One could be in Advaita Bhakti. It is all right that it is perceived as a snake, so long as they start to progress further and realize that it is not the snake, it is the rope. Next slide, sir. So just to extend on that particular logic, how is that? If I take my own example, if I am in the hospital, I'm a doctor and everybody calls me doctor. And whatever I do, even if they see me, hospital staff see me outside the hospital, they still call me doctor. And if my parents see me, they call me their child, their son. If my children see me at anywhere, they call me father. My spouse calls me husband. My friends call me friend. And if I am in a society, I am called by something else. So if they get completely deluded that I am only that, I am only doctor, obviously they're mistaken. My true identity is my own being, my own human being. Let us say from a Vyavaharika point of view, I, this Divakar, who's playing this different roles at different places. This is what is exactly which is being brought out here, how different philosophers mistake the very same identity as something else. So before we get there, a sample kind of Astika Darshanas and Nastika Darshanas has put here. There are 6 Astika Darshana, or those who believe in the Veda Pramana, who believe that there is Brahman. Amongst them, the very famous ones are Sankhya philosophy, which is from Kapila Muni, Vaisheshika from Kanada Kashyapa, Nyaya from Gautama, Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga from Patanjali, Purva Mimamsa from Jaimini, Uttara Mimamsa, which we are studying, is from Vyasa. And then in the Nastika philosophy, who do not believe in the Veda Pramana, there are many of them. Even there, we have soft Nastika and hard Nastika. It is said that people who are Charvakas are completely materialistic. They are hard Nastikas. The soft Nastikas are the Jaina and the Bauddha philosophy. So Madhyamika, Yogacara, Sautantrika are all the offshoots of the Buddha philosophy. The next slide we see. Here some of these identities, 35 philosophies are enumerated. So it starts from this verse. Prana iti pranavido bhutan iti cha tadvidaha. Guna iti gunavidas tattvani iti cha tadvidaha. So the Vaisheshikas believe that prana itself is the reality, and they believe Hiranyagarbha itself, which is the cause of the universe, is the reality. Again, they are all mistaking the consciousness to whatever they believe is the reality. The Charvakas, the materialists, they believe that there is absolutely nothing called as God. We saw that in the, they are the Nastikas. So they believe that only the 4 elements, they don't even take that space is responsible, because space is imperceptible. They say that the 4 elements are the reality. The believers of the gunas, particularly the Sankhya philosophy, they say that the gunas itself, the sattva, raja and tamo guna, which is part of the prakriti, are the reality. And they say that the state of equilibrium of the gunas produces the mahat and the universe. In the Shaiva Siddhanta, they consider that there are some fundamental Siddhantas which are called as the ultimate reality. They say that the Pashupati and Pasha, These are the three siddhantas they bring about. The Pashu is referred to as, we all know that it is Jiva. They also include human beings in that. So that is equated to Avidya. Pashupati is equated to Atma, as in the form, God with the names and form, the Pashupati, which is Shiva. And then they also say Pasha, the Avidya, the Bandhana, which is causing suffering, as Pasha, the Avidya. So Pashu is the Atma, Pasha is the Avidya, and Pashupati is the Shiva. In the next slide, we see the other set of philosophers. Pada iti Padavido Vishaya iti tadvitaha, Loka iti Lokavido Deva iti cha tadvitaha. Some consider the four padas are the reality. So we are studying in the Mandukya Upanishad that Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna and the Turiya. They say all of them are real and they are giving the equal status for all of them. According to Advaita that we have studied, Turiya is separate and obviously that is the only ultimate reality, whereas Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna are just the projections from the Turiya. But some of the philosophers say all four of them are the same. Those who give in to the sense pleasures, we can relate to that in the modern life also, think that only the sense objects are the reality. Consumption-oriented materialists say that whatever gives them the pleasure, especially when they go to a mall or some kind of an adventure, that is a reality. They say that life is very short, you enjoy. You go out, do whatever you want and please their sense organs. And they say that is the only reality. Puranic people say various lokas mentioned. We have Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, and then 14 lokas, 7 above and 7 below. All of them are real. And nothing above that is real. Devatas mentioned in the Vedas like Indra, Agni, Vayu, etc. They are the reality for some upasakas who are from the Purvamimamsa, the Jaimini philosophies. They talk about Purvamimamsa. So Uttaramimamsa, of course, is the Vedanta. In the next slide, we see Veda iti Vedavido Gnana iti cha tadvitaha Bhoktatteti cha Bhoktarvido Bhojyamiti cha tadvitaha. People who are interested in the Vedic chantings without even knowing the meanings of it. And again, ignorantly worshipping Vedas themselves as the reality. Vedas too are anatma, as the truth is beyond the knower, the known, and the means of the knowledge. It is beyond the sadhaka, sadhana, and also the sadhyam, because the truth is the siddhavastu itself. Those who get stuck in Veda Purva, who believe that the ritualistic parts, the yajnas alone are the reality. So we have seen that in the Mundakopanishad also, they not only believe that they are the real, they also lead the other people into the same path, like the blind man leading the other people in an unknown territory. The Sankhya philosophers, some of it is already mentioned, say that Atma is the non-doer, but say that it is the experiencer. They're okay to agree that it is the Akarta, but they say Bhoktatvam belongs to the Atma. The Purusha, the real enjoyer as the truth, is what is the argument of the Sankhya philosophers. Some others say the objects of enjoyment alone, as told earlier, is the reality. All the above are like for a cook to whom the only reality appears to be the delicious dishes which are in front of him. And this is again emphasized by Anandagiri in his Tika. In the next slide, we see Sukshma iti Sukshma vidaha Stula iti cha tadvidaha Murta iti Murta vido Amurta iti cha tadvidaha. So here Nyaya and Vaisheshika philosophies are talked about. In fact, Vaisheshika is an offshoot of Nyaya philosophy. They say the atoms, the Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyan, they take that and then argue the atom itself is the reality. We know that now the quantum physics, everybody is talking about the subatomic principles and everything, and talking about the consciousness, the hard problems of consciousness by David Chalmers, and all of that is being discussed about. You see, Vaisheshikas they've already talked about these things. And whatever which is the object of perception, if you can objectify that, we have already studied that that is not the reality. That is not the absolute reality. So some others say Atma, which is of the size of a Paramanu, is a reality. And this is again emphasized by the Jains, particularly the Digambara Jains. Other sections of the Jains say that Atma is of the size of the body. We have seen Atma mentioned in different sizes, particularly the Angushta Matra in the Kathopanishad, etc. Again, they are taking it out of context and then using that as a base to base their arguments. Many others worship idols. We all do that. Shiva with trident, Vishnu, Rama, Lakshmi, Durga, etc. And we know that all of them are the lower orders of the reality. But they can make a gateway to expand further into the Vishwarupa and then Arupa Ishvara. The opposite of all of this idol worship is the Shunyavadis, those from the Buddhist philosophy. They say that emptiness itself is the reality. Hari Om sir, and we will continue this study with a few more philosophers who will talk about the other philosophies. Thank you.
Jai Gurudev. Let us continue with the same thought process. Kala iti kala vidaha, disha iti cha tad vidaha, vada iti vada vidaha, bhuvananiti tad vidaha. The knowers of time consider the time to be the reality, and the knowers of the direction consider the directions to be the reality. The knowers of the theories consider the theories to be the reality, and the knower of the worlds consider the worlds to be the reality. We are seeing various misconceptions with regard to the external and internal world. In the verses 20 to 28, Gaudapadacharya takes up different philosophical views which were prevalent during his time, discriminating based on real subject which is independent and permanent, and rejects all the unreal objects which are dependent and impermanent, and comes to the conclusions of Upanishadic essence, Ekatma Pratyaya Saram. The waking state, the dream state, and the causal all are mithya, as they are object of awareness. One consciousness or Sakshi principle, I am, is the real, as it is the observer, Satyam, present in all three states, like golden thread passing through all the experiences or objects, yet untouched by any of them, but support all of them. Kala iti kala vidaha, disha iti cha tad vidaha. In the present verse, some people who are astrologers consider time to be important, to the extent that for them even moksha is dependent on time. For these people, there is a right time to do everything. They take time to be the reality. For some, direction is the truth. East, west, north, and south. These people choose the right direction for everything, for rituals and so on, which is very popularly known as Vastu Shastra. Vada iti vada vidaha, bhuvananiti tad vidaha. The different point of view or ideologies to be the ultimate truth, like capitalism, socialism, Marxism, the leftist point of views, liberal and conservative point of view. Ideologies are so powerful. People even fight and die for them. Even in the name of the religion, we get to see this today. New age, we have many ideas for a better relationships and cures for health reasons like light therapy, crystal therapy, sound therapy, aromatherapies, and so on. And a few other, like some know the different spheres of existence, they take them to the reality. Bhuvananiti tad vidaha. ancient Indian ideas of 14 planes of existence, 7 heavens like Go, Goa, Suva, Tapajana, etc., and 7 hells. Some people consider it as an ultimate reality. Next verse. Mana iti manovidaha. Buddhiriti cha tadvidaha. Chittamiti chittvidaha. Dharma dharmo cha tadvidaha. The knower of the mind considered the mind to be the reality, and the knower of the intellect considered the intellect to be the reality. The knowers of Chittam consider the Chittam to be the reality, and the knowers of Dharma and Adharma consider Dharma and Adharma to be the reality. Starting from this verse, Gaudapadacharya lists the internal anatma. Mana iti manovidaha, buddhiriti cha tadvidaha. Some philosophers take the mind to be the ultimate reality. They say that everything is in the mind. Present psychologists, they consider mind itself is the reality. Some others, one of the sect in Buddhist consider that knowledge is important for them and the intellect is the ultimate truth. They are called Kshanika Vijnanavadins, who takes the intellect as the ultimate truth. According to them, consciousness is momentary. They believe in stream of flashes of awareness, as the body, mind, intellect are changing every moment. For sure, all of them have a relative reality or relative value, like a dream food for a dream hunger. But in front of ultimate truth and deeper reality, they are false. Chittamiti chittavidaha dharma dharmau cha tadvidaha. Some others, psychologists, consider that the subconscious or the unconscious is the truth. They say that everything is governed by karma or vasanas. They are vasana pradhana people. Past lifetime is real. Everything is explained by vasanas for them. For all the psychologists, the inner unconscious mind is important. And they say that 90% of a person's life is governed by unconsciousness. Our pleasure and painful experiences are due to past merit and demerit. Dharma dharmo cha tadvidaha. Few people, they consider, like Purva Mimamsaka philosophers, consider that everything is due to karma. For them, dharma, adharma, punyam and papam, all ritualistic actions based on Purva Mimamsa are good actions, and they believe they are the ultimate truth. We are seeing in the current verses and in coming few verses, because of the fundamental ignorance which had led to many misconceptions, because of not knowing I myself as a Turiya atma. When this truth is missed, so many anatmas are mistaken as atma as the reality. Jai Gurudev.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We have heard from all the previous speakers the various misconceptions different people in different schools of thought have about waking feet. Let us see what Gaudapadacharya has to say in the next 3 Karikas 26, 27 and 28. Karika 26. Panchavimshaka ityeke shadvimshacha apare ekatrimshaka ityahu ananta iti chapare. There are some systems of philosophers that reduce the entire world into principles or categories, and they say that these principles alone have joined together in various proportions to evolve as the universe. In the next slide, we see Sankhya system enumerates 25 tattvams but does not include Ishvara. For them, there are many Jivatmas but no Paramatma. Yoga system includes all the 25 tattvams of Sankhya but adds Ishvara tattvam, and yoga system has 26 tattvams. Another group called Pashupada, a Shaiva system, adds 5 more and end up with 31 tattvams. There are some other systems that say the tattvas are infinite in number. Next slide takes us to Karika 27. Loka lokavidaha prahurashrama iti tadvidaha. Stripum napumsakam lingaha paraparamadhapare. As we see in the next slide, ordinary people of the world consider the different lokas that we experience as the ultimate reality. For a dreamer, the dream world is a reality. There are people that are so much obsessed with the 4 ashramas that are discussed in the Dharma Shastra. For them, everything in life is governed by one status, ashrama in life, and therefore the ashramas are reality for them. They do not realize that ashramas are only stepping stones to liberation and not the ends in themselves. For grammarians, words are more important than the objects. They are obsessed with grammar rules and the genders of the words, and these become reality for them. There are some other people who consider that Param Brahma and Aparam Brahma together to be the ultimate reality. Saguna Nirgunatmika Brahman is the ultimate truth for these people. For Vedanta, Nirguna Brahman is the ultimate truth. Sagunam Brahman includes Maya in it, and so Sagunam Brahman cannot be the ultimate truth. We'll go to Karika 28 with the next slide. Srushtiriti Srushtivido Laya iti cha tadvidaha. Sthitiriti Sthitividaha Sarve cha iha tu sarvada. In the next slide, we'll see that there are some people who are obsessed with Srishti, some with Sthiti, and some other with Laya. Next slide, sir. Every object is associated with all these 3 all the time. Life is a series of all these 3. In the momentary fleeting universe, none of these 3 can be truth. Gaudapada says in short that every group has one misconception of the truth or the other. The common mistake that is made is that something or the other is the truth, but they never imagine that I am the truth of all. Upanishads alone teach this. As we see in the next slide, everyone analyzes everything in the world, but never analyzes the analyzer. The analyzer can never be analyzed because the analyzer has to become the unobject, but the subject can never become an object. Yajnavalkya asks Maitreyi in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, how will you observe the observer and with what instrument? Nobody thinks of asking the question, who am I? Because this question is not asked, one anatma or the other is taken as reality. People are all the time running after anatma, and that's the glory of Maya. But there is a silver lining in all this. Gaudapada says that all are not lost, but there is hope. That is described in the next important verse, Karika 29. Hari Om. Thank you. That brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you, Hegde sir, and all speakers of the day for the nice session. Thank you, friends, for your indulgence in this journey of Mandukya Upanishad. Coming Monday, on 19th August 2024, let's tune in for session 40 of GIFT at 6:45 p.m. to study verses 8.11 to 8.15 of 8th chapter. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you.